Morning, friends. About 2 years ago to this day, I made a video called SARMs Can Permanently Shut You Down, How I Ended Up on Testosterone Replacement Therapy at only 24 years old. In this video, I detail how I did 3 different SARM cycles, all with LGD, a very suppressive SARM. Please ignore this fucking shit out my window. I've had to do like 5 takes now, just please ignore it, I'm sorry. I did 3 different cycles with LGD. A very suppressive SARM. I felt like garbage afterwards, way worse than I did before I ever touched a SARM. Anxiety, depression through the roof. I started relying on alcohol to alleviate these symptoms. As we all know, alcohol abuse is highly suppressive to endogenous testosterone production. So I started feeling even worse, and as a last-ditch effort, I got on testosterone replacement after getting labs and seeing that my testosterone was 275 nanograms per deciliter. And yeah, that kind of solved all my problems, to be honest. My anxiety went away, my depression went away that I had all of my life, and I got out of my rut of alcoholism. So overall, big fat fucking W for me. Now, Derek from More Plates, More Dates did a reaction video to mine back then around Christmas time. Remember watching it going, holy shit, Derek made a video about me. And then I got an onslaught of like toxic comments. It's just like, it's like christening to the internet. He did a response video to my video, analyzing it, breaking it down, analyzing the things I say about SARMs, whether or not they're true, etc. And then the Anabolic doc did a response video to Derek, kind of jabbing at him. And I watched both of these videos again today. I've seen them both multiple times, as you'd imagine. If you're in a video with Derek, you're kind of fangirling a little bit. Although under unfortunate circumstances, because holy shit, my comment section blew up with toxicity. But that's all right. So they did some response videos. There are some things that I really disagree with in both of them. And I'm a small fish, right? Derek's been in this arena for, a long time, a lot longer than me. And then you got the Anabolic doc, who's a doctor. He is an internist. He has a lot of clinical experience. And all he does now is management on testosterone. So he's got a very, very unique perspective on testosterone replacement and SARMs use and whether or not he sees patients who come in shut down from SARMs, etc. So I'm kind of a small fish, but just because you're a small fish doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. So don't let anybody tell you can't fucking say something just because you're a small fish. Now, Derek's video, he makes some great points, right? He says, I should have gotten pre and post and inter blood work. I should have had a SERM on hand just in case I needed it. I should have taken long enough time to recover between cycles and have blood work to verify that I had been fully recovered before doing another SARM cycle. I should have evaluated whether or not I should even use a SARM. Why am I using a SARM? Should I go straight to gear? And what am I trying to get from SARMs that I am not able to achieve naturally, etc.? I should have done my research that SARMs are very suppressive. And it's all this stuff, right? That you should know, right, when you use a SARM. The problem I have with this take is it's coming from somebody who has a lot of experience, right? It's coming from somebody who has done a lot of research, knows a lot about SARMs, knows a lot about AAS, and he forgets the beginner mindset. And the beginner mindset in regards to SARMs is a very dangerous one. And I'll see it. You can still see it on Reddit, man. You see it all the time still. People like me, people like who I was in that video, who just started using SARMs for funsies and are now paying heavy consequences for it. Because SARMs are suppressive, yes, but like I demonstrated in the video that I made, they can kind of steamroll you into worse and worse decisions until your life is kind of fucking derailed. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with Derek. Well, first of all, I couldn't get pre and post and interbloods. I lived in a rural area. What am I going to talk to my PCP about getting my testosterone and LH and FSH and estradiol, SHBG, all this checked pre, inter, and post my SARM cycles, all 3 of them? He or she is not going to do that for me. I have no access to private labs, etc. So to somebody who doesn't have access to lab, like getting their blood work done readily, should they stay away from SARMs? Are they incapable of using SARMs now because they can't get labs done? That's kind of up for debate. But to be honest, I didn't have access to doing lab work. I didn't know where my fucking testosterone was, But I think Derek has this idea has the mindset of someone who's intelligent, right? Who knows about these things. He doesn't have the beginner mindset where you just read online, holy shit, SARMs are just a little suppressive to testosterone. Fuck, they're like way less suppressive than anabolic androgenic steroids. Oh, this guy says I don't need a PCT. Oh, they're arguing whether or not they need one. I'll just go without one. You know, and then you end up doing SARMs. You fucking love the way you feel when you're on it. Then you crash and you feel like shit. And then you keep doing it, and then you get addicted to alcohol, and now you're fucked. You know, so SARMs have consequences that are beyond just suppression and beyond whether or not you have a SARM on hand, etc. Now, he did make a point of like, you know, I said multiple times in the video that I felt like crap because I had low testosterone. And he made the point of, well, how do you know if you have low testosterone if you haven't done labs? And I'm kind of shaking my head at that one because it's like, if you do a SARM cycle, and you feel like shit afterwards, like you feel like you have low testosterone after 3 back-to-back SARM cycles, you can pretty much bet your ass that your testosterone is low, right? Because these agents, these compounds are highly suppressive. So saying that I didn't have low testosterone after these cycles because I didn't have blood work to verify that I had low T is bullshit. I don't have a fucking ingrown toenail. I have low testosterone because I did 3 SARM cycles, like back to back. Like, yeah, I did time off in between, but I don't know if I fully recovered, right? Because I didn't have access to blood work. I didn't do blood work, and I didn't have access to the means of doing blood work. Then later in the video, he assumes I had low testosterone based on the symptoms that I had before ever using SARMs and the fact that TRT improved my anxiety and depression. So in one moment, he says, how can you assume that you have low testosterone after using SARMs, which I think is fucking stupid. And then he says later, he's like, oh, well, this guy probably had low testosterone before he ever hopped on a SARM cycle because, you know, now the anxiety and depression he had all his life is gone after getting on testosterone replacement. I'm like, how can you know that if I didn't do pre and post bloods? So it's like this, you know, you're getting fucking nitpicky with the blood work here. Now, of course, you should do pre, post, inter blood work, but me saying that I had low testosterone after doing SARMs is probably 100% fucking accurate. Whether or not I could have recovered, my opinion in that video, I don't think I was correct on that. You know, me saying that you're gonna get shut down no matter what. You know, eventually you're gonna get shut down. We don't know for sure, right? And it's very person dependent. But in this video, I kind of make a blanket statement that you will get shut down, which I think is incorrect. But I don't think you need blood work to determine if you have low testosterone transiently from using SARMs. Now, he makes a great point at the end, right? This is what not to do during a cycle. That's the point of this video. There's little bits of information in this video that's just, it's not quite right. You know, it's not right. None of it's right. It's not an example of what to do during a cycle, before, during, or after a cycle. You should get blood work. You should have at least a SARM on hand. You should get inter-cycle bloods. You should get post-cycle bloods. You should make sure that you're fully recovered before you even consider another SARM cycle. You should utilize your SARM if you're not recovering properly, etc. I did none of that shit, and I just abused the fuck out of alcohol. I did everything wrong that you possibly could do if you're going to do SARMs. And I think that makes for a fucking great video for beginners. Like, and also the fact that this dissuades people who don't know better, right? People who know better, they comment down below, you fucking idiot, you should have done blood work and you should have had a SARM on hand. I'm like, good for you, man, you know what you're doing. But for the people who don't know what they're doing, they watch that video and they get scared shitless and they won't touch a SARM. And for that, I am thankful. Now, Anabolic Doc's response video to Derek. When I first saw this, you know, I was getting a lot of toxicity in the comment section of my video. And when I saw Anabolic Doc do a response video, I was kind of like, thank you, like, please come to my rescue, like, back me up a little bit. And I was, like, watching the video, and I was like, he's not really going anywhere. Like, what the fuck? What the hell was the point of that video? Now, he's got a lot of experience, clinical experience, right? So he makes a hint. He hints at the fact that he sees people come into his clinic who are shut down from SARMs and who need testosterone replacement therapy. So it does happen. It does happen. Now, if you're as safe as possible, it's less likely to happen, right? But it does happen to people, so you need to be careful. And the fact that these SARMs can have consequences in your life that go above and beyond just suppression. It can affect your love life. It can affect your work. It can affect your drug and alcohol use, etc. So it goes beyond just the effect of the SARM itself on your HPTA. One of the comments that the Anabolic doc made, and his approach was basically like, Derek, you're not a doctor. Like, you're making all evaluations on this guy when you shouldn't be, because you're not a doctor. And one of his quotes was, apparently Derek is an expert at reading labs, even though he's not a doctor. I'm like, Derek, first of all, Derek never claimed to be an expert at reading labs. Number two, he didn't read my labs. There are no labs to read. And he made that response directly to Derek saying I should have gotten pre and post blood work. And then he said, apparently Derek is an expert at reading labs, even though he's not a doctor. Now, I think the Anabolic doc was a little bit salty, perhaps, on some of Derek's other videos where he does go into reading people's lab work. He also makes a quote saying, you're not a physician, right? Apparently Derek is an expert at reading labs, and you're not a physician, Derek. Now, I've had a lot of experience with doctors now in the past year. A lot of experience. And there are some people like Derek who I would trust with reading my blood work more than an experienced internist in the hospital. It's as simple as that, man. I'm serious. There are some doctors out there, a lot of doctors, who are really, really fucking bad at their job. Really bad. And I think putting Derek down for trying his hardest at interpreting he's not making a diagnosis. He's not saying he's a doctor. He's not practicing medicine. He's interpreting labs to the best of his ability where nobody else is. And to shit on him for doing that based on information he's learned online, guess what? Most of the information you learn online, you're gonna learn in fucking med school. Like how to fucking read labs and shit. Yes, clinical experience is important. It's extremely important. It gives you intuition, right? An ophthalmologist, for example, is going to know way more after years of clinical experience with these patients than somebody who has read vast amounts of material. So there's that intuition that comes with being a physician. But to make this claim that Derek's not a physician, so he shouldn't be interpreting lab work on any level, is asinine, because there are doctors, certainly plenty of doctors, who are way worse at interpreting labs and interpreting even health conditions based off of labs than Derek. So I don't think Anabolic doc has a leg to stand on there. Now, the Anabolic doc asks, is there true recovery possible for all men? And he says, we don't know. I agree with that. We don't know if it's possible for all men. And he says, I think he takes a safe approach. If you ever don't touch an Anavar tablet, don't do a SARM, if you're not ready for that commitment, for the possibility of getting on testosterone for the rest of your life. We don't have the data for it. That's it. Most guys can do SARMs, and if they're careful, they can recover perfectly fine. You know, and as long as you're prepared, etc., or even if you're not prepared, some guys are just lucky that way. But you just don't know if you're going to be able to recover or not. There's just not enough evidence for all men out there. There's no guarantee, right? It's just like when you get on testosterone replacement. There's a high chance, and there's a lot of evidence for this, there's a high chance you can utilize HCG down the road to restore fertility instead of just using it alongside TRT. Now, does that mean it'll work for everybody? Fuck no. There's always outliers, right? There's always the extremes. There's always somebody who's going to do even just a single LGD cycle and their and use a SERM, and after they get off their SERM, their testosterone is still lower than it was at baseline before the cycle. I guarantee you there's plenty of people like that. So I think Derek is right. He takes a smart approach. Be safe when you're doing SARMs, right? I did everything wrong. I think I was a great example of doing everything wrong that you possibly could. But there are guys who do that every day, man. I see it on Reddit all the time. Somebody called themselves a SARMs goblin, and now they're on testosterone replacement therapy. I see it quite frequently. So this video that I made is a prime example of what not to do when you use SARMs, and I agree with Derek on that. Anabolic doc shitting on Derek for not being a physician and still trying to do his best to learn how to interpret lab work, and because he has a fascination with medicine. Are you allowed to have a fascination with medicine and how to interpret labs, etc., even when you're not going to med school? Of course. you have access to plenty of data online. You have access to so much information through the internet that you're able to do a superficial reading of somebody's lab work and maybe help point them in the right direction, right? He's not making a diagnosis. He's not claiming to be a physician. He's not doing any of that shit. So I don't agree with the Anabolic doc's take on Derek, especially after my experience with loads of physicians this past year, 7+. I hated all of them. I thought they all did a terrible job. There's only one doctor, my primary care doctor, who's just she's such a sweetheart. And she's so good at her job. And I wish all doctors were like that. But I've been dismissed and misdiagnosed and all this stuff by trained physicians who have been in the field for years. So to say that Derek can't do reading of lab work based off of information he's learned online, quote unquote, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Anabolic doc is wrong. Derek's wrong, right? Because he doesn't have the beginner mindset, right? He's saying, well, you should have done this. It's like, well, fucking obviously I should have done this, right? And then I'm wrong because I took every wrong turn I possibly could have to end up, well, basically taking a W because testosterone helped me significantly. But I did everything wrong I possibly could have at the time, and it did have significant ramifications in my life with my family, friends, love life, etc., which were not foreseeable just by the simple fact that SARMs are suppressive. So I try to take the middle ground on a lot of subjects. I'm taking the middle ground here. I think we were all wrong in a lot of aspects. I think we were all right in a lot of aspects. I think the people who go in my comment sections and just go, "You didn't do fucking bloods, dude." Like, that's such simple-minded thinking, right? People make mistakes, man. Allow people to make mistakes. Allow other people to learn from their mistakes. It's funny, I'll see like the main point. There are things I said in this video that were probably incorrect, right? But the main points I see in my comment sections are, you didn't get pre and post bloods. You used alcohol. You basically did everything you possibly could to put your tea in the fucking dirt. Like, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying. That was the whole point of the video. And I hope this video dissuades people from using SARMs, because I wish I never touched them. I wish I never got on testosterone replacement. There are side effects to testosterone replacement. I'm tired of pinning, to be quite honest. I wish I stayed off SARMs, kept training naturally, tried to improve my testosterone production as best I could through natural means. And I think that's a fantastic goal to have, man. Is to get labs, get fascinated with your hormone profile, and try to increase your testosterone as best you can. Ice your ballsack, dude. Eat a healthy, fat-rich diet. Try to boost your testosterone naturally and get fucking swole the natural way. If I could go back in time, I would never have touched a SARM. Never. Even with all the mistakes, even with all the knowledge I know now on how to prevent what the cascade of shit that led to me getting on testosterone replacement, even with the knowledge I know now to avoid that, I would never touch it. I wish I stayed natural. I've done a steroid cycle. I stopped. I did one steroid cycle and that was it. I was like, wow, sick, gains. Great. Now what? Now I want more gains. It's the same as when you were natty, dude. It's exactly the same as when you were fucking natty. You start reaching your genetic potential, your genetic limit, and you're like putting on a 1/4 pound of muscle a year. You're just squeezing out an extra pound on that bench press every 6 months, because you're trying to dial in your program to the best of your ability, right? And then eventually, you're like, I want more. You always want more. Even if you take these drugs to get more muscle, to get bigger, to get stronger, to lift more weight, you're gonna eventually want more, and that never stops, man. I think you should stay natural. I think you should stay natural, man. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the guy listening to this video. If you're a natural, I want you to stay natural. I wish I did. There's a lot of benefits to testosterone replacement, but looking back, it's like, dude, my diet was shit. I was drinking alcohol, which affects my sleep, which affects my testosterone production. I was doing a lot of things wrong, and I was super into weightlifting. And I was doing everything I possibly could to inhibit my potential growth and progression in weightlifting and strength and muscle building. Stay natural, my friends. I know this entire channel is about testosterone replacement therapy. I'm a big proponent of staying natty, dude. Do it if you can. I'm also a big proponent of, if you need TRT, then don't be afraid to use it. But stay natty, my friends. Didn't think I'd ever say that on this channel, but I just did. All right, that's my analysis on Derek's analysis, on the anabolic docs analysis, on my analysis on my video. I'll check you guys later. Bye.